Welcome everybody, this is CHIRLA TV, the immigrant voice. This show discusses and advocates for what is taking place in our immigrant community. My name is Edgar Aguilar.
My name is Diana Lucero.
And today we're joined by two organizers from CHIRLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. This is Kathia. Thank you for joining us back. Kathia, she is the youth organizer at CHIRLA for the Wise Up program for high school students.
And this is Pedro Trujillo. He has been involved with the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights for over 11 years, and he is now the senior organizer at CHIRLA. So today we're going to be discussing a little and going into more depth of youth organizing, specifically Wise Up, which is the program that Kathia is the organizer for, and just have a discussion about high school students and a pathway to college. So can you please tell us a little bit more about what Wise Up is?
Yeah, sure. And again, happy to be here. Thank you for having us. This is a great show. And thank you for tuning in, everyone out there. Today we'll be talking about high school youth and how to go to college. And our Wise Up program for the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights has been around for quite some time, actually. And so in the late 90s, CHIRLA decided that they wanted to organize immigrant youth, right? That we were organizing workers, but where were the youth, right? So the children of immigrants, you know, we go to high school, right? I came in at 6 years old, and in high school is when I learned that I was undocumented. Turns out, you know, like you've heard with other organizers and other immigrant youth, you know, I wasn't the only one. And really, the high school piece around CHIRLA is to get youth to become leaders, to get involved, and to change their reality and the reality of their families as well, right? And so the program itself was to get youth to go to college, and they did. And then once when they were in college, the question was, now what, right? The now what piece. And that's why we started organizing later on college youth in 2003. But one thing about Wise Up, what it is now, right? Because when I first just graduated college as an undocumented immigrant and applied for DACA, my first job was with CHIRLA. And I got the opportunity, the privilege to work with high school immigrant youth. And so I was able to actually develop this program, further develop this program to get the youth to not only become good leaders, right? So we're talking about public speaking, we're talking about getting out your community, how do you organize, what is organizing, right? How do you build power? But also the other piece was that we need to go to college, right? At the time, the numbers of youth, and even worse, immigrant youth, the numbers of going to college were really low, right? When I first started doing this work. And so we said, we can't do the leadership piece if we don't have youth also doing this academic advancement piece to it, right? So because of it, I'm proud to say that a lot of the folks that went through the program are now working for Congress members, they're working at unions, at nonprofits. You know, we have a couple folks who work at CHIRLA as well who went through the Wise Up program.
You started your involvement with CHIRLA once you graduated college, or were you involved with CHIRLA before that? How did you end up with CHIRLA or right now? Yeah,
I got involved when I was in college as an undocumented immigrant student at Cal State Northridge. And I learned it through the group there, Dreams to be Heard, which is a group that still exists, right? So shout out to Dreams to be Heard if they're watching. And they're involved with CHIRLA, right? And so this was in 2007, I want to say, when I first heard of it, in the fall of 2007. And so around this time, right? And it was life-changing. You know, I haven't turned back since. I wanted to do something, and the organization gave me the opportunity to grow as a person and as a professional.
And were you one of the first ones who started Wise Up, or was that program already running when you joined CHIRLA?
The program was already running. And so the baton was passed on to me. And so big responsibility, and everyone does their own little piece. Kathia then eventually became a Wise Up high school organizer, which she is right now. And so she's adding her sazon, right, her flavor to what the Wise Up program is.
Yeah, and for me, I also didn't have the pleasure to start in Wise Up. I actually started volunteering at CHIRLA through the California Dream Network, which is the college branch. But I think about myself when I was in high school, and I always go back and really regret not having been involved at that age. And so for me, this program, I'm really passionate about it because it gives me the opportunity to give that opportunity to other youth, right? Who maybe have so much energy and desire to change their communities, but they don't know how to go about it, right? And so that's where the leadership development comes. Like for also another thing is that when I was in high school, I wish I had somebody to guide me through what it is to be undocumented and being able to navigate the educational system, right? And I didn't have that. And so for me, now it gives me the opportunity to be able to be that guidance to those students that need it, right? To undocumented youth and just even like those youth that are not undocumented, who need that extra help besides their counselor at school.
Just want to ask, can undocumented folks go to college?
Yes, of course. I know that for a lot of you that are undocumented, what I hear is like, oh, my parents, they don't think I could go to college because I don't have a social security number, right? Or because I'm undocumented. And that's not the case. You don't need a social security number to apply for a college. A college or university cannot deny you acceptance just because you don't have a social security number. Let's also remember that here in California, we also have the privilege of living in a state where we have in-state tuition, meaning that we don't have to pay 2 or 3 times more money like if we were coming out of state, right, or being international students. We also have the California Dream Act, which is financial aid to be able to pay for tuition here for our schools.
And there's also other states where they also, like California, offer in-state tuition for immigrant youth and also financial aid, right? And so some of the states like Texas, New Mexico, is it Washington?
Washington.
Yeah, so there's a few, and then there's some that don't offer financial aid, but they do allow immigrant youth to go and enroll in college.
Pedro, considering that you've been in CHIRLA and involved in the movement for so long, do you think you could talk about some of the policy that has passed to allow students in California to make it this far and to go to college?
Yeah, no, so I'm excited to actually tell you that California wasn't actually the first state, but has been one that has gone beyond, right, in terms of supporting immigrant youth. And we're trailblazers in terms of the policy that we've won here in California. And it has to do all with the organizing piece. Then, you know, as a senior organizer, I have to plug that in, right, that things didn't happen just out of the blue. They needed to be fought for, they needed to be worked for. We needed the participation of mom, grandma, of your teachers, right? And so we actually did a campaign, right? And so when it comes to the policies, we first want AB 540 here in California. There's different versions of it. Assembly Bill 540 is the one that pertains to us here in California, allows youth to pay the same as if they were residents. There's requirements to that. We're not going to get into that right now. But that's the first step into getting financial aid, which is the California Dream Act, right? And one thing that I want to make clear is that you do not need to have DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, to be able to get financial aid or to apply for the California Dream Act.
Okay,
right?
okay. I want you to really repeat that again because I feel like folks really need to embrace that and remember. Can you please say that one more time?
Of course, yeah. And I've been saying it over and over again, so I'm happy to say it. DACA, you know, is its own piece. It's a work permit, right? But you do not need DACA to be able to get your college degree to get financial aid here in California, right? They are separate programs. They don't affect each other, right? And so we've been doing these type of educational workshops, letting folks know that there's now in California even Dreamer loans for UC students as well. That's also something that a bill that we passed a few years ago, and we're working to expand that, right, through the Dreamer Resource Liaison Bill, right, here in California. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so, I mean, first of all, let me tell you why we need this, right? There's a lot of, when high school students move on to college, a lot of them fall through the cracks, meaning that they go to college and first of all, being undocumented, you don't know the resources that you have, right? So, and also we have to keep in mind that once you're in college, like, you kind of have to like seek that help. And if you don't know, maybe you're embarrassed to say that you're undocumented. So what this bill would create is it will basically make colleges or universities have a person who's trained on the resources that are out there for undocumented students, because as of now, a counselor isn't obligated to know, hey, like there's AB 540, there's a California Dream Act, and let's face it, they probably have a like huge workload, right? So they don't have time to do research on their own. So we will have that one person who will be in charge of basically educating all these undocumented youth on these resources and give them a better chance to be able to successfully graduate college.
I understand we're talking about high school students right now, but not everybody gets to go to college straight after high school. Are there any policies that can help students that like didn't go to school right after college, right after high school, and then did community college, and then now they're ready to transfer? Is there any help for them?
Let me speak of my experience, right? I didn't go directly to a 4-year university. I went to a community college, Glendale Community College. Why? Because as an undocumented youth back then, I didn't have the California Dream Act either. So then I had to pay a lot of money with like for my pocket, right? So there's also that option, right? Going to community college, there's the bulk waiver, which is basically a fee waiver here in California that allows you to pay for your classes at community college. So there's that. You really kind of have to also be creative, right? On like the ways that you pay for college and be your own kind of like business person and like open up ways that you can like get money.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer that anyone can go to college, right? Like anyone, you just got, like you said, be creative. I went to college as an undocumented immigrant when there wasn't financial aid, right? And I wasn't the first, right? And I had to figure out my own path as well, and networking with other immigrant youth as well as to how to do it. We figured it out, right? So if I was able to do it, right, I was working, in the weekends, and I was going to school full time during the weekdays, right? And apply for, so it's like double the work, but the reward itself is not just mine, but it's the community that supported me as well, right? Those that helped me out with donations and whatnot. But that's what Wise Up also helps youth do, is like to figure out and to realize that your support system is all around you, right? It's, hey mom, what about that quinceañera? Maybe instead of spending that money on, the nice party, those chambelanes, right, the suits, let's save that for college. We want to have those conversations early on when they're 14, freshman year of high school.
Took a community to get you to graduate college, right? Can you explain what an ally looks like? Who is an ally? Who can be an ally?
I think for me, an ally is a person that really motivates you, right? Because as an undocumented youth at that age, I go back to my high school years, is like you're just very vulnerable to give up and to be like that's it. Like I rather not go to college because there's all these obstacles in front of me. So just a person that's always there to remind you of your value and that you can go to college, right? But also kind of supports you, like whether you do a tamal sale, right? Or something like that, that's there to go and help you with this. And also maybe guide you to those resources, right? If you're a citizen and you know somebody who's undocumented, try to help them out, right? By letting them know, hey, I found this gig, right? You don't have to have a social security number, right? Or something like that, so that they're willing to take that opportunity and advantage of that.
I think, allies are much needed, and they can be advocates, strong advocates, they can be defenders, and they can be that, like a bridge, right? More than anything. I'm not asking, U.S. citizens, those that are viewers that are U.S. citizens that are watching, to be our saviors and our heroes for the immigrant friends that you have, but you can be that little push, you can be that little inspiration to, sometimes, folks may be feeling down, right? Being undocumented is not just about feeling powerful, feeling like you're gonna change the world. It's, anxiety, depression, that's real, right? And so sometimes someone who's outside of that world and looking, at our situation can influence to make us feel better, right?
To be part of the youth program, you don't have to be undocumented. It can be an ally as well. Anybody who is in high school looking to go to college can join CHIRLA Wise Up or CHIRLA CDN, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the Wise Up program, we have youth that are citizens. And the reason why they decided to become involved is because their parents are undocumented, or maybe not their parents are undocumented, but their friends are undocumented, right? And so they come to me and they're like, I'm a U.S. citizen, but I came here because I want to give my friend the, like, let them know the resources that are out there, right? So that's really powerful that at their age, they're willing to do that. So I think that's the type of allies that we need. Somebody who maybe it doesn't affect you, but you see it happening in your community, affecting your community, and you want to do something about it, right?
And you brought up a really important point. You mentioned the children are documented, they're U.S. citizens, but their parents are not. So what is going on with them? You know, not just that the people who are undocumented, the whole family is undocumented. When you have mixed status families, like what's happening with them?
Yeah, this is common, and I think everybody should understand that it's really common in our country to have families that are mixed status. What does that mean, right? That you have maybe the children are citizens, they were born here, but the parents are undocumented. How does that affect the children? There's obviously trauma. My youth come to me with the fear or telling me, I'm really fearful that my parents are gonna be deported. And that's the type of fear that we find today due to the government that we have now, right? The constant negative rhetoric or like deportation happening in our communities. So not only undocumented youth go through traumas, you also have those citizen youth that are constantly like thinking, am I gonna see my parents tomorrow?
One of the things that the youth, you're talking about fear for the U.S. citizen youth as well, they're feeling that trauma, is that they ask us oftentimes, can I go to college because my parents are undocumented? Will they ask for my parents' social security number, right? And so we have to inform them that, you know, it's you who are applying for financial aid, right? And your parents, they're just looking into like their income, not their social security number or their immigration status, right? And so there is a way in the FAFSA application, which is a free application for them to, when they go to college, right? You have to apply in your senior year, every year. You have to put there either all 9s or all 0s when they're asking your parents' social security number, right? So that way, you know, you're not lying either, right? We don't want you to put false information on them.
Is that regardless if you're undocumented or a citizen with undocumented parents, you can go to college and there's some type of financial help as long as your parents do taxes? Is that correct?
It helps for the parents to do taxes, but it's not mandatory, right?
Okay.
And the other thing too is that depends on the state, right? So I don't know who's watching this, but it depends on the state as well. But for us in California, we're fortunate enough that, you know, U.S. citizen and undocumented folks can go to colleges here.
Thank you for that information. Since we're on the topic of college, when should folks start applying to college?
Well, the applications for FAFSA, which if you're a U.S. citizen or resident, you should be applying for FAFSA. If you're undocumented or you have DACA, you should be applying for the California Dream Act. Applications open up on October 1st, and the deadline is March 2nd. Now, the deadline or the time to apply was extended. So now you have like 2 more months to be able to apply, right? But a lot of youth still leave the applications for the last minute, right? But so we really urge you like to apply as soon as possible. So if you can the next day, like go ahead and apply. That way, if you find yourself with questions about these applications, you can reach out to CHIRLA, your counselor, your teachers, so that you have plenty of time to be able to complete these applications.
Yeah, so as soon as this show is done, you should get started on your application. I'm looking at you, Jorge.
What do you need to apply to college?
Well, so like I said, you don't need a social security number. That, I'm gonna start with that, right?
Okay.
But just like when you apply to colleges, right, you're gonna have to submit your college applications, depending on where you wanna go. If you wanna go to a CSU or UC, I'm talking here at California, right? Like When for other states, it varies, right? Private, you need to check when the deadlines are. Make sure to submit it on time. If you're undocumented, you do need to fill out the AB 540 affidavit form. Once you got accepted to the college that you want to go, then you submit this affidavit to that college, because you don't want to end up having to pay 3 times more money than you have to. You want to like save that money.
That's right, and that's really important that immigrant youth should know that if they do not apply for AB 540, right, they will be classified as international or out of state. If they go to a community college, Cal State or UC, they need to apply for AB 540. And that way, instead of paying 2 or 3 times more the price per class, right, you know, you're paying like everyone else, right? That's the whole thing about in-state. And the other piece to that is that each form is a little bit different. So you just got to look at your school's website, or even if you don't want to look at the school's website because it may be confusing, you can even go to Google and look up your school's name. It has to be a public institution of higher education. If it's a private university, then AB 540 does not apply to them, right? So you have to do it differently. You have to ask the administration and the financial aid office of that private university to see what the scholarships they have there.
So before we let you guys go, where can our viewers go for more information? Where can they find the resources that they need? I presume CHIRLA.org is one of those, but is there anything that you can share with them?
Yeah, hit us up at CHIRLA.org. Our website has a lot of good information about college. But if you have more detailed questions, feel free to email us as well. Also, don't forget that you do have your counselors. If you're at a college, you might want to like figure out if you have a Dream Resource Center, right? Because in that Dream Resource Center, you might have folks who are really informed about these resources.
All right, thank you both, Pedro and Kathia, for joining us today. This is going to be the end of today's show, but don't forget, folks, there's resources for you to go to college. There's resources for you to graduate college. Don't let that be an excuse that you're undocumented, that you don't get it done. We have proof here, and we have millions of others that have graduated college and did it before and after DACA. So please, folks, if you have any more questions, please visit us at www.chirla.org. Thank you. Have a good day. See you next time.
Thank you.